All right, we just finished up 25.1 of Murach's Visuals Basic 2015. We're going to go on to 25.2. So find your folder, not the zip file, but the folder that's 25.1, and rename it to 25.2. And this is kind of, this is where we're going to get started with 25.2. So we can open this up, open up the solution, and we're jumping into step 2, which is display form main. Kind of disappointed I still don't see my form appreciation here. All right, I'll figure that out in a minute. I don't need it right now, so. Okay, display the form name form main in design view and delete all the controls. So I'm just going to make this form bigger, and then I'm going to select everything, hit delete. There we go. Then set the is MDI container property of the form, is MDI container, set that to true. So this is going to be a, what we call this, a multi-document interface. Multiple document. Yep, multiple document interface. So we're going to have, our forms are all going to be contained within this one form, which is why we call it a multi-document interface container. Okay, and then resize the form so it's large enough. So I kind of already did that. I'll make it a little bit bigger. There we go. That was step 2. All right, I'm going to open my toolbox and pin it because I'm going to be doing a lot of work with that. And add a menu strip control. So do we have menu strip under common controls? Nope, but under menus and toolbars, we have menu strips. I'm going to double click on that. And notice that the menu strip is represented down here, but we do see it here where it says type here at the top of the form. And use the form menu designer to add a file menu with 4 items that will display a new future value form. All right, so this is going to be file, and here I want new future value form, new depreciation form, close the active child form, so that's close, and exit from the application. Include access keys if you'd like. So maybe, I don't know, we'll make that one F. And this is, I'm just doing this on my own. Obviously, I'm not looking at, oops, open that up. There we go. Oh, and include a separator bar between close and exit. So separator bar, I think it's just a single dash. Yep. And then can I just drag that? Can I drag that up? There we go. All right, so to get a separator, just put your text is just a single dash. So it looks something like this. This is seen on what page? I don't know, maybe like 825-ish. Might be a little too soon for that. I'm trying to match somewhat what the book has, so I'm not too far off. Oh, we're on page 823, and I'm pretty close. I just put the word form on there, and they didn't. That's okay. So yeah, that was page 823 if you need to look in the book. I'm just going to make a note of that here because I didn't have that. And then an event handler for the click event of each menu item as shown in 25.7, which is page 825. And then delete any code left over from the SDI version of the application. So if we look at form main, this is the SDI version. I'm going to delete that code first. And now if someone clicks on new future value, here we go. Kind of surprised they don't tell us to rename anything yet. Oh, they did in step 4. Use the menu designer to name these menu items. The menu designer. Okay, so if you right click on your file and go down to edit drop down items, here we have new future value form is what the text is, and the name of it, does it have a name? Right here, it's got this really long name, and what we want to call this is MNU, new future value. This one is MNU, new depreciation. I really spelled that wrong. This one here is MNU close. And the last one, MNU exit. MNU exit. So make sure you're changing the name, that you're not changing the text. The text is what's shown. The name is the name of the element. All right, so now on a new future value form, we have dim future value form as new FRM future value. And I think, let me just make sure I'm doing this the right way here. Yep, and then we're going to take future value form dot MDI parent. So what you're saying here is on this new form, the MDI parent is me, the main form. And then we can show this thing. So I'm going to run this right now. The only thing I have working is the future value. So file, new future value, and notice how it's stuck in this form. I can't move it out of here, right? But if I didn't have this line in here, if I didn't say the MDI parent, that button would still work. Here's future value, but it can it can go outside of the parent. We don't want that. We want it stuck in there. So that's why we make sure that we have that MDI parent. Okay. For each menu item. So we did future value for so I'm setting up a new depreciation form. I'm going to do the same thing, set the MDI parent to me, and then depreciation form dot show. That took care of that. I'm going to do exit first because exit's easy. That's just going to close me. And remember, me in this case is the main form. That was exit. Close, however, has to be, we have to be a little careful here because close is not going to close everything. It's just going to close the active window. So the first thing we're going to do is we need to see if there's an active MDI child. So this me, again, remember that me is the form main. We're going to get the active MDI child. Every time that we spawned off one of these forms, these are children to FRM main. So we're going to see who's active, and it's whatever's active is a form. We're going to save that in this active form. And then we can say if active form is not nothing, then active form dot close. So run this. I can do File, New Depreciation Form. Here it is. It's stuck in here. I can't move it out of here. Great. File, Close. Close that one. I can have multiple forms open. I can take future value. It's the active one because it's, the one I clicked on here. Close. It closed that. And if I do exit, it closes everything. All right. That was step 5. Oh, and step 6, run and test the application. We just did that. All right, turning the page. Add a window menu to the parent form. So this is going to say window. To the right of the file menu, then add 3 menu items that will let the user arrange the forms in a cascaded vertical or horizontal layout. This also is on page 825. So what we're going to say is cascade, tile vertical, tile horizontal. Right click on this guy, edit drop down items. I guess we're going to rename these things. Enter an appropriate name for it. There we go. Okay. Enter an appropriate name. That's great. Code an event handler for the event of each of the window items in the window menu. Each event handler should use the layout MDI method. Look at 25.7. So we're still on 25.7. All right, the example on 25.7 gives us our vertical. So I guess we're going to start with that. So we're calling the layout MDI method of me, which is the parent form. And from the MDI layout enumeration, we can choose one of the options. We're going to choose tile vertical for when somebody clicks on MNU tile vertical. Do the same thing with horizontal. I'll just copy this, paste. Tile horizontal. And cascade. There we go. So those 3 menu items have been handled. Save this. Step 10, set the MDI window list item property of the menu strip. Okay, hang on. Choose the menu strip. Go to properties. We're looking for MDI window list item. We're setting that to the window tool strip menu item. So what this is doing is, where are we going to list the open windows from this parent form? And we're going to list it in, this form has open windows that are inside of it. As we open these, where we're going to list them, we're going to list them in the window element. So let's see what that looks like. I can make some forms like this. They're stuck in this form. And you can see now, like future value is the form I have selected. I'm going to put it in front of depreciation, so you see it's the active form. And then I can go to window depreciation, and it has this one open. And I can have multiple ones, and it allows us to flip around like that. We can cascade the windows, does that automatically, tile them vertically, tile them horizontally. Looks great. I can take this, close that one, or I can exit the whole application. Okay, we just finished step 11. Add an action menu to one child form. So use the menu designer. We're going to add an action to the future value. Thank goodness this is the one I have accessible to me. I still don't know where depreciation is, although I know it's here somewhere. So here's my future value form. And I'm going to add a menu strip to this. And you can see it's kind of tucked in back here. Perfectly fine. Add calculate and clear items to this menu. So we want to call this action. And under action, we have calculate and clear. And I'm guessing, oh, okay, we don't need to rename those. Well, not yet at least. And then code the event handlers as described in 25.5. So we go back a page. I don't think we really do go back a page. Well, tell you what, I mean, we know that. So what I just did, I double clicked on the calculate menu item under the action menu. And it gave me an event handler that says this handles calculate tool strip menu item dot click. I'm going to just cut that handler and delete this sub procedure because we know this is doing the same thing as when you click on the calculate button. All right, so I can save that. And then clear, well, we don't have clear yet. Let's see, we have, it's getting kind of hard to see. We got everything on top of each other here. We have text monthly investment, so I'm going to say, oops, no, that's really big. TXT monthly investment dot text equals nothing. What are my fields? Yearly interest rate. Number of years. And I think there's like, yeah, there's this clear method. You can use that if you want instead. And then future value. And I'm going to add, when you say clear, I want to bring the user's focus back to this first box here. Okay, we saved that, and we're going to run the application. Display 2 or more instances of each form. There's future value, depreciation, future value, depreciation. Note that the action menu is only displayed when a future value form is the active child form. So right now, depreciation form is the active child form. There's no action menu. You can actually see the action menus on these forms back here. As soon as you click on one of these children, action moves up here. So I could put in my monthly investment like that, action calculate, and it calculated that. I can come back here, make it $105, action calculate, and calculated this one. Now notice which one is active, this one in the front, and go to action clear, it just cleared that one. When I come back to this child, action clear will clear this one. All right, that was step 14. No, that was step 14. Step 15, add a tool strip control to the parent form. So we're going to get out of form future value. We're in the parent form. I want a tool strip and add future value and depreciation buttons as described in 25.8. So I'm going to add a button, this image for this button. I need to import, and we're starting with future value. And then I'm going to add another button, also an image. Image is import depreciation. Let me call this hello. Choose that first one, properties. All right. I don't want to call it tool strip button 1. I'm going to call this BTN future value. Call this other one BTN depreciation. I'll learn how to spell that before we're done. And it's going to do the same thing as form new future value form or new depreciation form. So let's look at this. We have the event handler for MNU new future value.click or button future value.click. And then same thing for depreciation for our MNU new depreciation. This will also handle clicking the depreciation button. So let's save that, run it real quick, make sure that this works. So I can do file new future value form, or I can just click the button to give me a new future value form. And then depreciation forms. I can click that as many times as I want. What did we just do? We just did step 15. Step 16 is add a view menu that has a checked view menu that has a checked toolbar item. We have toolbar here. We're going to peek at page 829, has some information on this one. Okay, so we need to set the check on click property here to true. And what that's going to do for us when I run this, view toolbar, that's now checked. If I click it again, it's unchecked. Click it, it's checked. Click it again, it's unchecked. So it's not really doing anything right now. All it's doing is it's giving me that checkbox or not. So we actually have to make it do something. I'm going to double click on that. Here's our event handler handling the toolbar tool strip menu item click. I guess we didn't rename that thing. Let's rename that before we get too far. MNU view toolbar. Okay. If you're following along the book, they just call it toolbar. But yeah. So what we say here is, let's just look at this. If MNU view toolbar dot checked, then, and what do we call our toolbar? We didn't rename that either. I want us to call this TB main. All right, so now I can come back to my code. Oops, and it helps to spell checked properly. Let's see if it knows. Yeah, it knows. It's smart. Okay. Let me just write this out, and then we can look at what it's doing. So when you click on that view toolbar thing, if that item is checked, then the toolbar should be checked. Otherwise, the toolbar should be invisible. So I'm going to run this view toolbar. The first time it sets it to checked, and so once it's set it to check, it's going to run this. If it's set to check, then the toolbar is visible. So the first time you run it, it doesn't do anything, and then the next time it hides it. So kind of don't like the way that works. I wonder, let's see if we can set a default property on that. There's a couple ways we might be able to do this. So I'm going to click View Toolbar. I'm going to look at the properties here and check state. I'm going to change that to checked. Let's see what that does. So view is automatically checked when I start my application. If I click it, it goes away. So yeah, that worked. I was also thinking we can do like a form load, and we could set it to checked when the form loads. Right, in our code, we could have done that. So this code can be written a different way as well, because what we're doing is we're setting TB main visible to true if this thing is true, right? Because what our condition is doing, with our if statement is doing, is saying, if this thing is true, then set this to true. So what we can really do is we could say tbmain.visible is equal to mnu view toolbar dot checked. Comment that out, and it's going to do the same thing for us. It's, you know, a little tighter code. As to an entry or a beginner programmer, it might not be as clear, but it's definitely some tighter code. All right, and I don't even, do they show that to you in? Yeah, they do just show that to you in the book. That's good. All right, that was step 16. Run the application. Step 17, we did that. Step 18, add a status strip control to the parent form. So back to the parent form, I want a status strip and add 3 panels to the status strip as shown in 2511. 25, 9, 10, 11. All right, so we're really just adding 3 status labels like that. Kind of hoping to give us some more detail. Yeah. Oh, I was looking at 2510. That's why. Okay, let's go to right-click on this and go to Edit Items. We're going to take these, and the first thing we're going to do is rename them. This is going to be called LBL Date. This one here is going to be called LBL Description. And this one here is going to be called LBL Time. And all 3 panels should have a sunken appearance. Can I select all these? I can. And appearance, somewhere here I can choose sunken. Choose the border style, sunken. Okay. No initial text. That's great. The first and third panels should have a fixed width of 75. Let me just sort this alphabetically. That didn't help. Oh, here we go. Size, width, 75. 75. Okay, I'm guessing. Set auto size to false. Why that would not be right next to this is beyond me. All right, so those are both 75 right now. And the second panel should take up the remaining room. So the second panel auto size is true. And I know we need to set the spring. If I can find that. Because auto size being set to true is only going to make it as big as the, here we go. It's only going to make it as big as the label itself. But if we set it to spring, oh, you could see it down there actually. You see how it's like, here's 1, 2, 3. But once I set the spring to true, now this one's 1 and it's 75 pixels, 2 and 3. And it also said no initial text. So I'm going to select all those. No initial text. Oh, I guess I can't do that all at the same time. Okay. Took care of it. Open the future value form and start an event handler for the activated future value form. This is going to be a problem pretty soon. And I'm going to go into the code of this. And on the future value form, I'm going to look at the events for this form. And I want activated. So activated means this form is in the foreground, right? And the event handler should contain code like so in 2510 that's set to the property of the second item to something. Okay. So from here, we're going to do for main.sb. Nope, we never renamed our status bar. Let's go back to for main. Look at this status strip. The properties for it. Rename it to SB main. All right, now future value. We have for main.sb main.items. And I think we can use the name here, I'm pretty sure. And the name of this middle item here, if we look at the properties of it, is LBL description. So when this form is activated, that middle item should, well, let's just run it and see what happens. If I make a new future value form, that middle item got a value set to it. It's kind of bothering me that you don't have that sunken appearance, but we'll fix that in a second. It also bothers me that when I hit exit, it doesn't go away. Let's see if we can figure that out. Because we have an activated method, do we have like an unactivated, deactivated? Deactivate. I want to take this thing and set the text to nothing and deactivate. So I have a future value form. I set that middle label, and when I close it, it went away. Cool. That deactivate, I don't think was part of the assignment. And then it wants us to do something similar to the appreciation form. I'm going to paste from the form future value. I'm going to take this setting the label. I just copied these two event handlers. I put it over into form depreciation, and this is going to say calculate the, what are we calculating here? Calculate the depreciation of an asset. Let's see if that worked. Save it, run it. So future value, when the future value form is active, it says that in the middle. Depreciation, that's in the middle. So you can see as I go to future value, depreciation, and I think if I click off, yeah, I can't click off. It doesn't let me click in the background. But once everything's gone, that middle box goes away because we have the me.deactivate added as well. Okay, if for some reason you're in the same boat as me and you don't have the form over here, what I did was I went to Open Folder and File Explorer, which the form is here, right? It's in my project. So I took this file, I dragged it over, and it allowed me to edit this file. So I'm just going to leave that here. All right, let's go back to our main designer here. And why? I want to know why I don't have a nice border on these things. And actually, it's the items itself. Remember, we changed that sunken appearance. So we were able to check each of these items. And we chose the, hopefully I can find it, sunken. Border sides none. What's this? Oh, maybe we want that. Let's try to turn that on. There we go. That's what we want it to look like. So make sure border sides is turned. You select that to all. And then it looks like this. Maybe we, I don't know. And then it looks like that. So you can actually see where it is. Okay. Great. Now we need a timer because our date is going to go here and our time is going to go here. And we could easily, load the date on this when we open the application. But if we open the application today and it's an application that runs, that someone doesn't close, and they come back to it tomorrow, the date's going to be wrong, right? And the time is always changing. Obviously, much like the date time on your Windows toolbar, time changes more than date does, but the date could change as well. When I come back tomorrow, the date's going to change on my computer. So we need to add a timer. And I'll be honest, I don't know where timers are. I'm just going to go to all Windows items and add a timer. So here's my timer. I'm guessing we're going to call it something other than timer. Let's see, pages 832, 833 talks about the timers. Oh no, we just leave it timer 1. Okay. So the interval on your timer, I believe that's going to be set in milliseconds. Yes. So every 100 milliseconds, this timer is going to actually have an event. That the event that happens is a tick. Okay, so if I look at form main, I'm going to go to my code. I'm sure there's another way to do this, but I'm going to choose timer 1 tick. Now I have an event handler. I chose timer 1 from this middle drop down, tick from this right one. Every time timer 1 ticks, we're going to do something. Every 1/10 of a second, we are going to do something. Okay, and what are we going to do? Well, I'm lazy. I mean efficient. We're going to set on the status bar, we're going to set some of that. I'm just going to copy this and come back here, paste. All right. We're not changing this description. We're going to change the date. And we're going to set that to today's date. So we're going to do datetime.today.to short date string. And we don't need FRM main because we're already in FRM main. And then I'm going to hit Control D to copy that, duplicate that line, and the time is going to be set to short time string. Oh, I think we didn't ever turn the timer on. Minor thing. go to the properties of the timer, turn it on. I don't know why you'd want a timer and not have it turned on. There we go. We're pretty close. I've got the date there. That's correct. My time says 12 a.m. So I guess I did something wrong with this. I don't want date time today because today is just the date. I'm going to use now. And really, I could have used now here too. Remember, today is just the date, and now is the date and the time. Anyway, run that again. Oh, there we go. All right, so it is now 2:13. It's running. While this is running, I'm just going to make sure we did everything here. Run the application. Notice the date time changed. Notice the time in the third panel. Has it changed since you... Oh, look, it's now 2:14. Clearly, our timer is working. Remember, every 10th of a second, it's sending off a tick. So 1 Mississippi. It said tick 10 times in that time. All right, good news. We're almost done. We can exit this. We're going to add a module with the main procedure to the application. Here we go. I'm going to close some of these things. I got a lot of stuff open here. I don't need it all open because we're almost done. Project. Add new item. We want a module. We're going to call it anything special. We'll call it module 1. That's great. It probably wanted to call it main. Yeah, it did. All right, there we go. So hopefully you named it main. If not, right click on it, rename it to main. It'll automatically change it in here as well. And then add a procedure to this module that displays the following dialog box. Okay, in our main module, we're going to have a function also called main. Okay, obviously this function needs to return something. It's returning a Boolean value. And what we need to do is show a message box. And the message box looks like the one in step 22. It says financial calculations. This application lets you form financial calculations. Do you wish to continue? So messagebox.show. I'm going to need, I'll come back to this. The plus equals, I think so. All right, this is called financial calculations, and we're sending to it the message. Get from it. Actually, I want some new lines in here to make this a little easier for me to read. So it's going to pop up this question, do you wish to continue? And we're going to get options. So yes, no. And while we're at it, message box icon dot question. We want to pop up this question mark. All right, so right now we're just asking that question. What we need to do is actually capture it. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to call this yes, no as dialog result equals, and this is equal to this message box.show. And then I can say if yes, no is equal to dialog result yes, then return true. And where's my cursor? Holy cow. So this is going to, if you said yes, it's going to return true. If you said no, it's going to return false. This really isn't called main. We're going to call this login. And what this is showing is that you could have some sort of login put in place here. And then we have a sub-procedure for main, which is inside the main module. This is coming from 837. And we can say if login, then. So this login is calling this login function, which returns true or false. So if the person says, yes, I want to do this, we're going to try to run application run frm main. What's nice about this is now our entire application is in a try catch. So any errors that main throws is going to be caught by this one sub-procedure, which is kind of nice. All right, so if we save this and run it, nothing's going to change. You go to the project, and notice that the startup form, that's not listed there. We need to uncheck enable application framework. Now this is asking for the startup object, and we're going to run the main sub-procedure, which is inside the main module. All right, I think we got this. F5. Oops. All right, so clearly I got those two things backwards. Let's just, I'm going to say no. Let's fix that right now. Okay, on messagebox.show, send the message and then the title. I should know that by now. So here's the main. Well, main runs and it gets login. Do you wish to continue? If I check yes, it'll return true, and then it's going to try to run the application. So let's just check no and see what happens. So I check no. Dialog result, or yes, no is set to no. It returned false. This said if login, well, that was false. It ended the sub-procedure. That's it. My entire application ran. If I said true, this would return true. This would be true, and it's going to try to run frm main. There we go. And we have our application running. All right, now we're almost done. Add tooltips and context-sensitive help information for the forms as described on page 839. So I'm only going to do future value because I still don't have my depreciation form off to the side. But what you need to do is, for under all Windows items, you need to enable a tooltip. And then you could have here, once that's available to you, now I can choose any of these form items and I can choose the tooltip help. So I'm going to put a number of years. I'm going to say enter value 1 through 20, let's just say, and hit F5. Yes, I want to run the application. I want a new future value form. When I hover over this, enter value 1 through 20. That's my tooltip help. And then we want to add a help provider. And what you're going to do is if somebody hits F1, what's going to be displayed. So we have help string. Use this form to calculate a future value. So I actually clicked on the entire form here and entered that. Hit F5. I want to continue, yes. I want a future value form. And when the form is selected, I hit F1, it pops up. Use this form to calculate a future value. Great. So you're going to add help provider and tooltip to both of the forms, both FRM future value and depreciation. So yeah, make sure you fill those out and run and test the application. We did that a few times. That makes it user friendly. When you're done, close the application. So when we're done with this, shut this down. You now have this 25.1 from last time. You renamed your folder 25.2. Right click, send to compressed zip folder. There's your 25.2 that you're going to submit. So that's it. 25.2 is a lot of little steps. Make sure you caught them all. Review the rubric to make sure you're not missing anything.